Dope, 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 let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick, I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Yo, bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers.
How the hell do you have all of these? Well, I called you my brother, didn't I? We're somewhat related, in terms that we have one thing in common. Did you ever wonder who your father was, and why you grew up in that strange facility that trained you day and night, working you like a dog? Izuku looks through the documents, finding more and more information. He finishes up and slides it right back to Shigaraki. I don't care what you have to say. Me and you are nothing alike. Tell me, when you really do think, you'll be appreciated as a hero, even if you are able to become one, as this devil. Well, you'll be the last thing that people want to be saved by. Not even your classmates or teachers stood up for you in the sports festival. No one at the school truly cares about you. They're just afraid of what you will become if you were to turn to a villain. Izuku's eyes widen, processing everything that's told to him, but he knew this deep down inside. Shigaraki then stands up, placing a hand on his shoulder. If you joined me, you'd be surrounded by those who could truly care about you. Just think about it. Shigaraki walks away, and Izuku looks back at the other end of the table to see that he left him the files. Damn it, he did that on purpose. Izuku takes it and finishes shopping before heading back up to the school. He goes to the office of Principal Nezu and gives him the files. I made contact with Shigaraki today. I kept all the casualties to a 0. He only wanted to talk to me. Everything ever about my life is somehow on that file, and even more. The villains are watching us from the shadows. Thank you, Izuku, for your report. You can leave. I don't think I will. I'll ask you this once, Principal Nezu. Was I accepted here because of my good scores? Or was I accepted due to the risk of me becoming a villain was too high? Is the Hero Association scared of what I might become? Principal Nezu stays silent, causing Izuku to walk out of the room. All Might is then called in by him, and he would look through the files, with his suspicions being correct. Somehow this child is connected to All for One. They have to do their best to make sure it does not fall into the hands of evil. A week later, the students of UA are on a bus where they stop near a cliffside. Before Aizawa could even explain what was going on, Izuku jumps down into the forest, hearing it call his name. When he lands on the ground, he doesn't see the rocky monsters. Instead, he sees demons in this black and white Adola world. What the hell? Izuku then bursted forward, destroying them. By the time the rest of his class would jump down, all the creatures, well, they were destroyed, and a trail was left behind, as they would follow it, and it leads them directly to the camp, where food was already being prepared. Todoroki looks around for Izuku, and he would find him on the roof of the building. Why don't you join the rest of us? I'll wait until they all finish eating, and then I'll eat the leftovers. That doesn't make any sense. Why stay away from the class? Izuku then points down to them while laying down. You see those genuine smiles? When I go down there, they fade. So I'll just wait until they're done to get my own food. Todoroki understands this and calls Izuku a caring person. You're not as bad as people say you are. You know that? Of course I know that, but I never cared what others think anyway. The next day, the Cat Hero Squad helps the students train, and Izuku focuses on his hand signs and his speed. The goal he had in mind was to access that world that he goes into in his time of need. As every time he does, his flames become more and more powerful. He tries his best, but it doesn't work at all, as a couple days would go by as the class now participates in a game while they're in the forest. As they walk around, smoke comes out of nowhere and begins to choke the students. Izuku swings his leg, sending the smoke away, as Madeline would communicate to all of them and Izuku to go to the mountain towards the east to find Koda. He's the closest and the fastest, so he has to. Izuku bursts into the air and begins speeding that way. Koda is saved just in time by him as he would kick the villain away. The muscle villain gets back up, looking down at Izuku. Well, our target has landed right into my hands. Izuku tells Koda to stay here, as he'll face the villain alone. Izuku speeds past him and kicks him in the neck, performing multiple attacks that do no visible damage at all. With one punch, the villain causes him to cough up blood. This will soon be over, kid, so just come with me, and you can save all your friends down there. Never. I have to keep fighting so that I can protect them. That's a hero's job, and I won't let anyone take it away from me. Izuku then goes to keep hitting him, but nothing works at all. The villain would then grab his leg, beginning to slam him down over and over again, leaving him bruised and beaten. He leaves Izuku on the ground as he would go to finish off the kid. Izuku then tries to use his quirk when he stands up, but he doesn't have enough power. Damn it. No. I can't let you. I have to become stronger. Izuku then hears the words again from that same voice, but this time they just say one word: destroy. This awakens a new power within him, which allows him to completely speed past the villain and save Koda. The kid on the shoulders then looks back at the villain to see the black flames covering what was left of the man's body, as one half had been completely erased. Koda then turns to Izuku, noticing the strange glowing tattoos around his body. As Izuku doesn't even turn around, knowing what he just did, he jumps off the cliff with Koda in his hands. What about I don't have to worry about him anymore. Let's get you to safety. Right as Aizawa walks outside, Izuku appears with these strange tattoos on his body. Izuku hands over Koda and then listens to the message that his teacher has. In one step, he would completely vanish from sight, leaving only the black flames in the spot where he once stood. Izuku somehow reappears, taking down the villains that the cat heroes were facing in an instant. Izuku then tells Mandalay what to tell everyone. He would then head off in the forest to help save his classmates and some of Class B. As first, he runs into Tokoyami, as he would easily defeat him after he figures out how to change his flames back to their normal color. The light from them would be used in this battle. As Todoroki was preparing to finish off the villain that he was facing, he was taken down and Izuku would appear. Find everyone and group together. Todoroki nods as he would watch Izuku vanish from thin air once again. The rest of the students then noticed that the villains would stop attacking them, but Uraraka and a couple others would trail some of the villains just for a little bit, as we then see all the villains surrounding Izuku fighting him. His black flames ran out by now, and he seemed very injured from his battle with the muscle villain. He was taking a serious beating, but it was then stopped as Shigaraki would appear. Well, the choice should be clear. Join us, or they die. This is when the Nomu appears behind the group of girls who don't know what they could do to avoid this situation. Izuku is then forced to go with them, and the Nomu leaves the girls alive, as they're shocked that he would do such a thing for them. He sacrificed himself to save everyone here. They would head back to the camp where they explained what happened, but the others don't believe him. The only people who would believe are Todoroki, Tokoyami, and maybe even Bakugo, but mainly the people who saw it. We go over to Izuku, who is now in the villain's hideout. Shigaraki sips a drink and looks back at him. Don't tell me you think you can really be a hero still. I am one, I don't think it. I've never seen a hero kill someone the way you did the muscle villain. Izuku then thinks back to that moment and tells Shigaraki he's wrong. If that's what you truly think, then it'll make sense why you should join us. Do you believe the pro heroes will even come to save you? Izuku then turns his head. Even you know they don't really care about you. Some time then passes, as the students from Class 1A don't even go to save him. They soon all believe that their classmate is a traitor. When all the heroes find the base of the villains, Izuku wasn't even there at all. All Might yelled out asking where he was, but Shigaraki and the other villains would be teleported away. As we cut to the area with the pro heroes and some UA students, where the Nomu facility had been destroyed, suddenly a black slash would be in the air as two people stepped through wearing black outfits. One of them had a hood on and was much shorter than the taller man in the suit. A bunch of heroes and police officers try to attack them, but they're taken down in the blink of an eye by the hooded figure. Black flames are left in the area as he stands, watching the rest of the villains be teleported in as well. Momo, Todoroki, and Uraraka, who were there just to destroy the facility, then slowly watched this figure turn at them as they would catch a glimpse of his face. It's Izuku. Soon, All Might arrives to the area to face One For All, and Izuku looks towards the man. All Might reaches out a hand to the boy, as Izuku only turns to him glaring. Japan and all its heroes turned their back on me long before I even came to UA. The flames that killed my mother, do you know who they belong to? All Might's eyes would widen, and Izuku then yells at him, "Tell me, who do they belong to? It seems you already know." All Might then thinks back to the file that he read on Izuku. The night of his mother's death, Endeavor was in the area fighting a villain, where his flames were out of control for some reason. Izuku then looks to All Might. There's no such thing as a villain in this world. That's something the people and the heroes made up, so they could feel better about themselves. There are heroes on each side of the coin. Heroes who people look up to, and heroes who have their own stories that they must prove to the world. Izuku kicks All Might in his stomach, right where his scar was, causing him to cough up blood. Gran Torino then runs in trying to kick Izuku, but his face is grabbed and slammed into the ground. All For One, I leave these two so-called heroes to you. I'll be taking my leave with the rest. The man nods and watches Izuku create a black scythe with his flames, with one skull on it as an ornament, as he then slices through the air, creating a rift where he would travel through with the League of Villains. And all of this would be broadcasted across Japan. The battle between All For One and the number one hero still goes the same, but in his final speech, he was directing it towards Mirio. Not a single word is heard about Izuku after this for a very long time, as here when we get to the overhaul arc. But it would go the same, just replacing Deku with Mirio, since he has One For All in this story. As Overhaul was being transported after his defeat by 100% Mirio, his transportation vehicle is hijacked by the League of Villains. Shigaraki takes a pill and each of his arms, but Izuku scoffs. "You're getting soft on me, Shigaraki. I like to make an impact on people whenever they see me." Izuku kills Overhaul and a bunch of citizens on the road before transporting the group of villains away with his flame rift. Before he steps through, Endeavor arrives. He wanted to speak, but he couldn't, as the last thing the pro hero sees is a devilish smile upon the face of his former student, who vanishes within an instant.